Move one of these engines is a bit of a task. I'm going to start by stripping off the whole front end. You probably, if you've got a good lift, you might not need to do this. You could probably kind of raise the vehicle, but I don't have a ramp, so I am going to take the front end off and lower the engine down and then basically push it out. The engine's quite easily removed, to be honest. It has really 4 nuts holding it. There's 4 big bolts, sorry. It sits on a subframe which is connected to the body chassis by 4 big bolts, and the engine sits on the subframe with an engine mount over there and that little white disc which is in the distance under there as well. And of course the gearbox is mounted to the rear and the gearbox is mounted to the chassis as well. So it's really 3 points of access. But what would normally happen is you would remove the prop shaft, you would remove the gearbox mounted underneath, and then you would rest the subframe on a trolley or something, take off the subframe bolts, raise the vehicle. But I can't do that. So as I said, I am going to start stripping this front end. I've removed a few bits. The headlights and the bumpers have gone, and there was a panel here that's gone, and I've removed the electrical fan. But first thing I am going to do is I'm going to start moving this crash bar and this slam panel at the front, okay, which will then give me better access to the rad pack. So to remove this crash bar, aluminium crash bar, I'm actually going to remove this slam panel at the top first because this is connected to it. So you've got these 2 nuts on here, bolts on here, which is this is to hold the headlight in, which is a bracket which is connected under here. So it's well worth removing this first because you can't take this off because there's kind of screws, bolts under here, and the wing is in the way. So you could remove the wing, but I'm going to remove all of this first. So I've got bonnet catches with cables underneath to worry about. I've got these little bars, support bars underneath. I've got another support bar here, another support. I've got plastics. So there's a bit of work to do to get this going. So first of all, I am going to just undo these 10 millimeter bolts here. There's 3 there, and there's 3 on this side as well, hidden under this mess. And I'm gonna undo this one, this 10 one here, and this 10 here, and of course these 2 and these 2. Okay, so removed all them, and there is a bit of movement, but it's still quite solid. It's still a bit of work to do. I can see I've got 2 more to do there, and of course I'll have 2 more, 1 more to do here. Okay, but before that I'm going to disconnect the bonnet hinges. Now the bonnet hinge has a cable running through here, and it goes into this plastic conduit here on both sides. So there'll be 1 on this side and 1 on this side. Okay, they are electrical, and there's an electrical connector. The actual bonnet cable itself is here, so that can snap off and clip. But inside here there is the electrical connector which needs to be unattached. Now this is a little bit of a problem. I've never been able to remove this plastic cover without it breaking. Okay, if you have managed to do that, then well done. I don't care because I'm not putting this back together. So I'm just going to be a bit brute force here. Okay, so a bit of broken plastic here and there, as you can see on this side. There you go. I haven't got the patience. It's really, really difficult to remove these little catches. So I've just ended up breaking them off. So once these broke off, inside here, you have this connector here, which just unpulls. 1 there, and then the same on this side. This little connector here, unplug that. That leads into this frame here, and of course the actual mechanical bonnet catch, you just unclip this here, and you can see it's wanting to come apart as it is, and that's done. This little thing, and that's loose now. So I'm going to just unplug these connectors, which I can't do one-handed, sorry, and then that's done. With that done now, I can now remove these nuts here. I'm just going to take off where the horns are connected to, because it's connected to this panel at the top, so that would help. And while I'm there, I'm going to undo these and underneath as well. Now we've got a little problem here with this plastic little piece here. It's little plastics around, it's quite held on quite firm, and it's held on here. These little push fit plastics, you can see the back end of one here. What you need to do is get a sharp pointy screwdriver and push that back. It's kind of like a little cylindrical kind of plastic thing which has been inserted from this side, so you've got to push that out. And there is also one here as well, and you've got to push that out because this plastic piece here is connected to this top panel, so there's that to do on both sides. Okay, they're undone. They're just held on with a couple of cable ties. Still over here, I'm going to remove these, pull these out. You can disconnect the horn if you wanted to, just held on by them connectors there, both sides. And then I'm going to try and do this one-handed. I'm going to see if I can push that here, see if I can push it through. Oh, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit solid. Oh, it's gone and split. You can see why when people put these back together again, they need to go out and replace these plastic things because they just get destroyed. They're great cheap things, but nightmare to remove. Let's try this one here. You can see from this side, it's just a little raised little plastic piece, but it's a push through thing on this side, and it needs moving. Oh, it's not going to go with one hand. Okay, with two hands I was able to push it through, and now I'm just going to get some pliers and just connect on it and pull it through, and there you go. And that's what's holding it on basically, and I've been able to push that one through as well. But now this loosens up the plastic a bit, so we should now, once the other one's out, start being able to remove this panel. Right, so the horn things are removed. I've got these plastic pieces here a bit loose. Now what remains is basically to now remove it. You can remove this square piece as well. It's connected with two kind of bolts at the back here, but I have disconnected it already, but I'm going to remove that just to be able to get this bar out the way. Now it does wobble quite a bit now, you can see, but it comes out as one big unit. This will have to lift up there, and then it just takes a bit of lift and pull out, and it will then remove. Oh, this is stubborn. You really have to push and push that one until it's completely clean, and once it is clean, this thing will just lift, and it is then quite easy once it's broken. It's chain. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Out it comes. Oops, there you can see I've gone and forgot to remove the washer pipe for the headlights, but that's fine. I'll take that off now, and it's done, and it's removed. So as I said, if you want to remove the headlight bracket, then there's a couple around here which is impossible to get to while this is on the vehicle, which is really helpful. So if you do have a bent headlight bracket and you're struggling with your headlight, you've got to remove all this to get to that, or remove the wing fender. I don't know. Okay, now moving on to this main crash bar or bumper support bar, or whatever you want to call it. So once I've got the top panel removed and I've unattached all the little brackets that are on here, what is holding this on now is just these two long nut and bolt pieces here and nut and bolt piece there. Okay, but you do need to remove the washers. Okay, so each washer is held on with a 10 at the front, but also you can see there's a 10 at the back, and I do believe there is a 10 underneath as well. Yep, there it is. So you've got 3 10s on each of these washer jets to remove, and then you've got to try and feed the washer jet through. Now you also have this little bracket which is here which was used to mount the bumper, and that is held on with a couple of 10mm nuts, bolts lying around, so you have to take them off as well. Okay, and then once they're off, we can take these big, I think they're 15mm or 16mm nuts and bolts, and then it will just, well, you then have to hit it off, but I'll show you that. So I've got to remove these washer jets now. I've undone these bolts from here. Now it is now loose. It does just sit in there, but it's kind of got a little bit stuck or wedged in, so you've got to give it a bit of a shake. And I think, see how it moves like this? You can move it in and out if you want to. It might need a little bit of a screwdriver persuasion to get this out, but there we are. Can you see it's got 2 little indents in there that goes in them 2 holes? And then, well, how do you get it out? Well, it's a little bit awkward because it's not just the lift and push out. You do have to disconnect the hose at the back. Okay, well, I've always done that. Now the hoses at the back are under here. Excuse me. There we go. There's the hose there, and it has a clip somewhere. There you go. There's a little plastic clip there holding on, and then it will just pull off. Have a container handy. Or whatever dribbles you can. So how do you remove this pump then? Well, you've got this. This is a plastic support bracket. What you've got to do is push this up, okay, and it should release. Okay, it's just holding it on. You can't take it off together. This will twist, and it's easier to see when it's off, but now you can see it's gone up like this, and then you can now lower it further, so it's still in place. This plastic support has come off, and then you should be able to twiddle it around and it will come off. Okay, so this is the bracket that the pump actually sits on, and it just basically has some little grip things which the pump slides onto. And now this nozzle jet should just twiddle it, turn it around so the nozzle comes through, and you can direct it through. Yeah, you see that? Sorry if you didn't catch it on the camera. It just twiddle it round and comes through, and it gets a bit messed up on the sticker. This is where it's held on by here. Okay, and now I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So I've removed the 2 nuts for this bracket support bar, well, patch, whatever you call it. There's 2 nuts, but it's got one of our friendly plastic catches, so it's still connected to this plastic piece, but that's fine because I can still, well, I could actually remove this with leaving that on, but I'm going to take it off anyway just for this video, so you can see there's a plastic catch there holding on this metal bracket. So I'm just going to do what I've done earlier and push it through and get it off. Just remove this with a bit of brute force to get that plastic thing off. Okay, which now exposes these 2 big nuts here, which are attached to these two big bolts. Now this is your toe-in eye. This will come off first, and once you've undone both sides, this should be wedged on, and it needs a little bit of persuasion with a brass hammer basically to wedge it out. Big nuts and bolts are out. Does this wobble off? Yeah, this can just now free itself, this toe-in eye. And now what I'm left with is just to take off these tie wrap little holders here, which is holding on the pipe for the washer jets for the headlights. Okay, so these either pull or you're gonna have to cut them. Now they pull off. Yeah. No, maybe not that one. Oh, be careful. There you go, pulls off. Now, that should all now be free. So if you try and pull this, you've got no chance. Yep, no chance, it's not gonna come off by hand, so it needs a little bit of persuasion with a hammer. Okay, you don't wanna hit this too hard because you're gonna damage it, so a couple of persuasion taps. You see that? See it's moving? One side. Two sides. Well, hey, now you should be able. Oh, I've left one of them on. Okay, but there you go. It's off and exposes the rad pack. Now I've got these pieces of plastic here, which look very nice, I know, but they are a pain. You've got to unfeed this pipe, unfeed the pipe, unfeed the loop, but this, nope, it has to go through. But I've got both sides. Now have to remove these, don't know how yet. Where they held on, they must, there you go, underneath here. Let me guess, one of them pain plastic little push things. Yeah, there it is. You see, so I've got to remove that, and then this plastic piece come off, and then I have access to the whole rad pack.